going on, guys? This is the pilot episode of Prime School. This episode is about the mechanism of map control called warding. The word warding comes from other MOBA games where players control the map by using special items known as wards. You have to use the wards if you want to play well in Prime World. You can save your laners, and you can get inside knowledge about where your enemies are at the time, or know what they're going to do. There's an opinion that only the jungler should be able to buy wards and nobody else. That's not the case. All the team can do it. Of course, the jungler can buy wards easier than other players because he passes by the shops more often. Also, the Scroll Workshop player can buy 2 wards before he plays the minigame. That said, laners don't lose as much if they buy wards to save themselves or other lanes. Remember, if you pay 150 prime points for a ward, you can save yourself and avoid giving your enemies 300 prime by dying. You will also increase the difference in prime between your team and the enemy's team because your enemy will spend time trying an unsuccessful gank instead of killing creeps in the forest. There are 3 good places for warding glyphs in Prime World. For the top glyph, the ward should be placed in such a way that shows the glyph and the entrance to your forest. A good landmark is the nameplate near the dragon. The bottom ward should be placed near the entrance to the enemy's forest below the glyph. The area above the bottom glyph is also good because it's not as popular as the previous spot, which could save your ward even if the enemy has set his own down first. There are 4 good places for anti-gank wards. You can place the ward near the fern to cover the exit of the enemy's forest zone and the pass from the river. This ward can be bought by a jungler at the early game or by the top laner to save himself from sudden ganks. If you want to save your mid laner, then you should set 2 wards, which should be bought preferably by a jungler because your mid laner has to kill creeps without any interruptions. But the mid laner can buy these wards after death or when he goes away from the lane or for a gank or something else. You can set these wards in the middle of the river, above and below the lane. Setting these wards in these positions guarantees the life of your mid laner and decreases the chances of sudden ganks. The bottom ward should be placed near 5 stones in the river. It covers the entrance to the bottom lane and the entrance to your forest. This way you will always know when the enemy jungler is in your forest. The main point of anti-gank wards is if the enemy has an invisible glyph you didn't see happen, you will still see when he comes to your lane through this ward, allowing you to go back to your tower. Sometimes anti-gank wards are even better than wards on glyphs, which are required in the mid or late game because it's very hard to win without having glyphs on your hero. You can set wards in the forest if you are leveling well, if your towers are alive, and you can initiate the fight on the enemy's ground. The most popular place for forest wards is near the dragon between the gold and gray packs of mobs. This ward allows you to watch when the mid laner is going to or from the gold pack. It also allows you to watch when the jungler is going to the top lane after killing the gray forest pack. You can set wards in the crossroads in the forest to watch enemies' movements to get the opportunity to start and win a fight. The Shadow is a very strong hero for random games. In random games, players hesitate to buy wards, which increase the efficiency of Shadow in the early game. If you have a Shadow on the enemy's team, your minigame player can do this. Buy 2 wards and set them on the top and mid lane. On the top lane, a ward should be set on the descent from the mountain. On the mid lane, the ward has to be set on the banks of the river. This allows you to combine the range of your towers and wards to maximize their efficiency. Your laner should also buy HP potions. These actions allow your team to save the early game when playing against the Shadow, as the Shadow will know about the wards on the top and mid lanes and won't visit them. The bottom lane is usually for fat heroes, who are extremely hard to gank, for example Courier, Wanderer, or Maiden. Wards in Prime World reveal items or heroes in the invisible state. This means that there's a possibility of ward wars. Everyone should know the most popular ward places, allowing you to start setting wards a bit later than your enemy. This allows you to kill the enemy's wards after you set your own. Ward wars last until someone buys a True Sight potion, which allows you to see items and heroes in the invisible state. After you buy this potion, you can begin to kill all enemy wards. After an enemy team buys the potion, ward setting becomes very inefficient. However, you can continue to set up what we call suicide wards. If you set them up in the right position, it can save your life, but the price for this knowledge is 150 prime points. That's why you have to be very careful in setting such wards, and set them only when you are sure that it will help you win the game. That's actually all I would like to tell you guys about warding. I hope this episode has been useful.